In the welcoming dimness of her room, surrounded by family photographs that told the story of her life, Larissa once again made her way to her cell phone. There was something almost ritualistic about this act. Once, the device had been just another object in her home, used sparingly for calls or quick messages. But in recent times, it had become a bridge to a new world, a direct channel to Icaro, her unexpected virtual love. Icaro, in turn, was a storm of youth and enthusiasm, a vibrant contrast to the calm and stability Larissa had cultivated over her 60 years. He invaded her life with messages full of affection and promises, declaring his love not for her physical reflection, but for her soul, a soul that, according to him, resonated with his own in perfect harmony. Defying the 30 years that separated them, Larissa, already a grandmother, found in Icaro not just a boyfriend, but a mirror to her own forgotten youth. He, at 30 and a single father of a 5-year-old girl, saw in her a wisdom and a love that transcended age. Despite the generation gap, over the course of a year, the two had woven a deep and genuine relationship, nourished by online conversations and shared dreams. The physical distance between them was short, a mere geographical detail, but their lives filled with obligations made meeting a challenge. Icaro, an engineer on an oil platform, faced periods of isolation and hard work that kept him away from virtual contact for weeks. Larissa, on the other hand, devoted herself to her career as a judge, a profession that demanded not only her time but a piece of her soul, especially now, on the eve of her retirement. "We'll make it," typed Icaro Larissa, in a moment of optimism, looking at the illuminated screen. "We'll be together soon, I'm sure." Icaro's response didn't take long. "I count the days, Larissa. You are the promise of a new chapter for me." And so, amidst promises and hopes, the two supported each other, dreaming of the day when the distance between them would be measured not in kilometers, but in steps. One day, as Larissa reviewed some of her favorite messages from Icaro, an idea began to form in her mind, a bold idea that challenged the conventions and expectations life had placed on her shoulders. She decided that, with retirement approaching, it was time to take the reins of this story. "Icaro," she wrote, her heart beating with a mix of nervousness and excitement, "I think it's time we do more than just plan. Let's set a date. I'll be retiring soon, and I don't want to wait any longer to see you." Icaro's response, filled with surprise and joy, was not delayed. "Larissa, this would be a dream come true. Let's make it happen. Tell me when, and I'll be there." Silence filled Larissa's house, a space now marked by the quietness of her recent retirement. The echo of a life dedicated to justice gave way to a free time she never imagined she would have. It was a moment of transition, both exciting and intimidating, and at the center of this new phase was Icaro, the love she had unexpectedly found on the screen of her cell phone. With a heart full of hope, Larissa had shared with Icaro her decision to retire and the desire to meet him, along with his daughter Amanda. The idea of personally meeting those who had become so special to her brought a joy she couldn't contain. "Icaro, I'm finally retired," she wrote, barely able to hide the excitement behind her words. "Now I can visit you. I'm looking forward to meeting you and Amanda too." Icaro's response, however, came with a mixture of emotions. "Larissa, that's wonderful. I really want to see you too. But I've just been assigned to a project on the oil platform. It will be for a month." Sadness quickly settled in Larissa's heart as she read those words. Although a month didn't seem like much after waiting a year to meet, the news came as a cold shower on her expectations. "I understand, Icaro. Let's wait then. A month will pass quickly," she replied, trying to mask her disappointment. That month stretched out ahead of Larissa, filled with a silence she hadn't expected. With the house now emptier and time stretching endlessly, her thoughts often wandered to her children and her grandson. She reflected on the busy life they led, so similar to her own. Until recently, her 3 children, absorbed by their own lives and commitments, rarely found time to visit her. The irony of the situation was not lost on her. Now that she had all the time in the world, they had none. Larissa had never mentioned Icaro to her family. The age difference between them, a topic she knew would be subject to criticism, kept her silent. She understood society and its looks, but in her heart, she knew that what she shared with Icaro was real and pure. One afternoon, as she pored over old family photographs, Larissa found herself lost in thought. What if they don't understand? What if they think I'm being foolish? She wondered. But then, a memory of Icaro and his words of love and hope came to mind, and she remembered what she was willing to face for this love. Weeks passed slowly, each day bringing Larissa closer to the moment she so eagerly awaited. She spent her time rearranging the house, reading books she had long wanted to read, and sometimes allowing herself to dream of the day when she would finally meet Icaro and Amanda. Anxiety had become a constant in Larissa's life in the months following Icaro's announcement of his return from the oil platform. Each day without news increased the restlessness in her heart, a deep concern that intensified with the prolonged silence. When more than a month passed without a single word from Icaro, concern gave way to fear that something serious had happened. 3 months dragged on in this state of agonizing uncertainty until Larissa, unable to bear the torture of waiting any longer, decided to take drastic action. She would go to Icaro's city, hoping to find answers, to discover for herself what had happened. As Larissa stood in the airport, her heart tight with anxiety and her mind flooded with dark scenarios, her cell phone vibrated. It was a message from Icaro. The words on the illuminated screen revealed the cause of his long silence. Serious accident on the oil platform, an accident that left him ashamed and reluctant to contact her. The news made Larissa's heart race, not just from the revelation of the accident, but from the insecurity that transpired in Icaro's words. Why would he feel ashamed? What could be so serious that he would fear she no longer wanted him? Determined to find answers and offer her support, Larissa headed straight to the address provided by Icaro. What she found upon arrival left her heart aching with pain and compassion. Icaro was lying in his bed, his face marked by fatigue and pain, and even more shockingly, he had lost an arm, with the shoulder area completely bandaged. Seeing Larissa for the first time since the accident, Icaro was overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions. "I'm sorry, Larissa," he began, his voice choked with emotion. I was ashamed. I thought that, seeing me like this, you wouldn't want me anymore." Larissa, moved by deep and genuine love, approached quickly, enveloping Icaro in a warm and loving hug. "This changes nothing between us, Icaro," she whispered, certain that true bonds of love are forged in spirit, not in physical conditions. Exhausted, Icaro thanked her for her understanding and support, letting himself be carried away by tiredness and falling asleep. As Icaro rested, Larissa decided to explore the house, at which point she found Amanda, Icaro's daughter, playing alone in her room. Approaching with a gentleness that only years of motherhood and grandmotherhood can teach, Larissa introduced herself. "Hi, Amanda. I'm Larissa, a very special friend of your dad's. Can I sit with you?" Amanda, initially hesitant, soon found herself captivated by Larissa's warm and friendly presence. The conversation flowed naturally, as if Larissa had been part of her life for years, not just moments. Larissa's ability to deal with children and gain their trust was evident, a testimony to her experience as a mother and grandmother. The morning after her emotional encounter with Larissa, Icaro awoke to a reality he hadn't felt in a long time, the comforting presence of someone who cared deeply for him. Larissa, with her characteristic kindness, approached, asking if he needed anything. Icaro, initially hesitant, acknowledged that help was needed. "Yes," he said, passing on to her what he was facing in the era of neglect, as he dealt with his recovery and adaptation to the novelty of being without one of his arms. "Larissa, I didn't want to burden you," Icaro expressed his visible discomfort. Larissa's concern, however, was not with the extent of the list, but with Icaro and Amanda's well-being. "Don't worry about that, Icaro. We're in this together now," Larissa replied, with an encouraging smile, determined to provide whatever was necessary for her new family. In the weeks that followed, Larissa dedicated herself to taking care of Icaro and Amanda, an act of love that only increased the special affection she felt for both of them. Icaro, in turn, found himself increasingly grateful and admired for the extraordinary woman Larissa was. With his health gradually improving, Icaro made an important decision. He would not return to work for the company responsible for the oil platform. Instead, he would wait for the compensation resulting from the accident. Larissa supported his decision without hesitation, recognizing the need to start a new chapter in their lives. It was then that Larissa made a proposal that would change their lives forever. "Icaro, I want you and Amanda to come live with me. We can be a real family," she said, her heart overflowing with hope and love. The happiness with which Icaro accepted knew no bounds. The idea of forming a new family with Larissa was more than he had ever dreamed of. So, together, they set off for Larissa's house, ready to start a new life. The days that followed were filled with adjustments and moments of shared joy, until one day, Larissa's daughter, Carla, made an unexpected visit. Larissa found Carla outside the house and decided to explain everything that had happened since Icarus' accident to the decision to form a new family. Carla, incredulous at the revelation, immediately expressed her concerns. "Mom, do you know who he really is? This man could be a bad person. This is dangerous," she warned, unable to hide her disapproval. Larissa, however, defended Icarus and the choice she had made. "Carla, Icarus brought me happiness at a time in my life when I felt deeply alone. He and Amanda are my family now," Larissa explained, sadness evident in her voice as she mentioned the absence of her children. The conversation didn't last long. Carla, still worried and not entirely convinced, bid her mother goodbye, leaving Larissa with a mixture of sadness and determination. Despite Carla's reaction, Larissa knew in her heart that she had made the right choice. She was ready to face the challenges that would come, confident in the love she had built with Icarus and Amanda. This love, she knew, was the foundation of her new family, a source of strength and happiness amidst life's uncertainties. As the months unfolded, Larissa's house became a haven of newfound happiness and love, a stark contrast to the silence that once filled her days. However, this new joy did not come without its own set of challenges, mainly from her own family. Larissa's relatives' calls became a constant, each one filled with warnings and criticisms about her relationship with Icarus, a considerably younger man who was now an integral part of her domestic life. Initially, Larissa faced these exemplary educations, seeking to explain the depth and true nature of her relationship with Icarus. But as the calls persisted, Larissa's patience began to wear thin. "You don't understand," she found herself saying, in a moment of irritation. "When I needed you the most, none of you were here. Icarus and Amanda bring me happiness, so only now have you decided to interfere in my life." Tension within the house also manifested, but in a different way. Icarus, who had adapted to a quiet routine while awaiting the outcome of his lawsuit against the company, found himself increasingly distressed by the delay. His concern was not just a matter of impatience. It was a matter of survival. Icarus's savings were running out, and the uncertainty about the future was beginning to weigh on him. On a particularly dark afternoon, Larissa found Icarus desolate, sitting on the couch, his expression heavy with worry. "Larissa," he began, his voice a reflection of his anguish. "My savings are running out. I don't know what to do. I think I need to start looking for a job." Faced with Icarus's despair, Larissa felt a wave of compassion and determination. "Icarus, listen," she said, her voice firm but full of affection. "I want to help. I'll share part of my retirement with you. You've suffered a lot from the loss of your arm and deserve some time to rest and recover." Icarus, moved by Larissa's generous gesture, embraced her, thanking her deeply. This moment of support and understanding reinforced the bond they had built, a testament to the love and mutual trust that united them. However, when news of this decision reached Larissa's family's ears, the reaction was explosive. Accusations that Icarus was a scammer flooded the phone lines, intensifying the tension and conflict. Larissa, once again confronted by her children's misunderstanding, defended Icarus fervently. "You don't know Icarus like I do," she insisted. "He has been through a tremendous trauma and is doing the best he can. This is not about money. It's about love, support, and understanding, something that apparently you have forgotten how to give." Despite the family storms and financial uncertainties, Larissa remained steadfast in her conviction. She knew, deep down, that her decision was right, based not only on the love she felt for Icarus, but also on respect and compassion for the difficult circumstances he faced. Together, they navigated turbulent waters, strengthened by the certainty that, in the end, what united them was an unshakable force capable of resisting the criticisms and judgments of those around them. On a sunny day, filled with that gentle light that only early afternoon can offer, Larissa found herself completely absorbed in the company of Icarus's little daughter. Together, they shared moments of pure happiness among toys and laughter, creating a bubble of contentment that seemed, for moments, to push away the shadows of adult concerns. It was during one of these playtimes that Amanda, with the characteristic spontaneity of children, caught Larissa's attention with a rather peculiar question. "Where's Icarus?" she asked, genuine curiosity shining in her eyes. The way Amanda referred to Icarus made Larissa pause, a wrinkle of confusion forming on her forehead. "What did you say, sweetheart?" Larissa asked gently, encouraging Amanda to repeat her question, perhaps hoping to correct a misunderstanding. Amanda, unaware of the strangeness of her own previous expression, repeated her question, but this time referred to Icarus correctly as her father. "Where's my dad?" she asked again, the simplicity of childhood effortlessly correcting the previous slip. Larissa smiled relieved, recognizing that it had been just a small mistake, an inconsequential slip of the tongue. She decided not to pay any more attention to the incident, focusing on enjoying the rest of the day with Amanda in that sanctuary of serenity they had created together. However, the peace of that day was abruptly interrupted when Icarus returned home. His countenance carried a deep sadness, one that seemed to weigh not only on his heart but on every step, every gesture. Seeing Larissa, he couldn't disguise the desolation in his voice. "The company won the lawsuit," he revealed, his words laden with bitter disappointment. "I won't receive anything, no compensation." Larissa's reaction was immediate, a mixture of revolt and disbelief. Her mind, trained by her long career in justice, was already beginning to formulate strategies, to search for legal loopholes, anything that could reverse that blatant injustice. "This can't stand, Icarus. Let me see the..." she insisted, her voice firm, reflecting the determination of someone who has faced countless legal battles. But Icarus, perhaps too tired to fight another battle, especially one he believed to be lost, refused. "It's too late, Larissa," he said resignedly. "I've come to terms with it. I don't want us to spend our energies on a lost cause." Larissa's heart squeezed seeing Icarus so dejected, so different from the lively and hopeful man she had known. She hugged him, a gesture that sought to convey not only comfort, but also the silent promise that she would be by his side, no matter how arduous the journey ahead. "I'll help you however I can, Icarus. We're in this together," she assured him, her words a beacon of support and unconditional love. In the months that followed, a shadow of distance and silence began to settle between Larissa and Icarus. It was as if, with each passing day, an invisible chasm widened between them, not due to lack of love, but due to the adversities and uncertainties that seemed to surround Icarus from all sides. unemployed, adapting to life with a significant physical limitation, and with the responsibility of caring for his daughter, the pressures on him were immense. Larissa, watching closely, felt a mixture of worry and helplessness, wishing more than anything to help the man she loved overcome his challenges. It was then that Icarus made a decision that surprised Larissa. In a moment of vulnerability and sincerity, he approached her with a declaration that was both a proof of love and a sign of his hopelessness. "I love you, Larissa," he began, his voice choked with emotion. "I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to marry you, but I have nothing, no money even for the paperwork for a civil wedding. I think it would be best if we ended things. You deserve someone worthy of you, not someone like me." The shock of this statement was immediate for Larissa, but nothing prepared her heart for the sight of Icaro and Amanda's packed bags in the room, a silent testimony to his intention to leave. The reality of that scene cut Larissa deeply, awakening in her a fierce determination. "No, Icaro, please don't say that. Don't do this," Larissa pleaded, tears beginning to well in her eyes. "I don't care about a lavish wedding. I don't mind paying for everything. What matters to me is being with you. It's our love." The sincerity and passion in her words deeply touched Icaro, leading him to embrace her in a gesture of love and reconciliation. In that moment, all doubts and insecurities seemed to vanish, replaced by the certainty that they wanted to be together, no matter the circumstances. Strengthened by this new commitment, Larissa made sure to share the news of their marriage with her children, hoping, perhaps naively, for their blessing or at least their support. However, the reaction she received was anything but what she expected. Larissa's children expressed clear disapproval, marked by cold resignation. "We won't do anything more for you," they said. "We'll just try to attend to make this moment happy." This chilly reception from her children was a hard blow for Larissa, but it wasn't enough to shake her decision. The love she felt for Icaro, the life they had built together, and the family forming around them, all of it was too real and too valuable to be ignored because of others' opinions. On the day that should have been one of the happiest of her life, Larissa found herself immersed in a complex mix of emotions. Anxiety and joy vied for space in her heart as she prepared to unite with Icaro in matrimony. The ceremony, though simple, was laden with meaning for Larissa. She deeply believed in the uniqueness of their love, especially considering the stage of life they were both in. As they walked together towards the altar, Larissa felt the heavy stares of her children, laden with disappointment and disapproval. She tried to push away the sadness those looks provoked, focusing on Icaro's face and the happiness they felt in being together. However, what should have been a moment of union and celebration suddenly turned into confusion and shock. The abrupt entrance of a man into the hall interrupted the ceremony, capturing the attention of all present. The sound of the door being forcefully opened echoed through the space, silencing conversations and prompting a whirl of curious and worried looks towards the newcomer. His gaze, marked by desperate haste, scanned the hall until his eyes settled on Amanda. Amanda's cry of "Father" pierced the silence with startling clarity, all eyes turning to the girl, whose steps led her towards the man who had just interrupted the ceremony. The man's response, an emotional acknowledgement of daughter, confirmed the bond between them, leaving the assembly in shock. Icaro's reaction was immediate and visible. His face, once illuminated by the joy of the moment, was now marked by deep disbelief and a glimpse of panic. Without saying a word, he turned and ran, disappearing from the hall and leaving behind a trail of confusion and unanswered questions. Larissa, paralyzed by surprise and the sudden turn of events, felt the world spinning around her. The realization that the man who had just entered was indeed Amanda's true father, not Icaro as she had believed, began to settle in her mind, bringing with it an avalanche of conflicting emotions. The happiness of the day had been abruptly interrupted, replaced by a feeling of betrayal and disorientation. As the guests murmured among themselves, trying to understand what had happened, Larissa remained motionless, her heart broken not only by Icaro's sudden departure as he ran from the hall, but also by the shocking revelation of a truth she had not expected to face on her wedding day. What should have been the beginning of a new journey together had turned into a moment of painful revelations and unanswered questions, leaving Larissa on the threshold of a reality she had never imagined being a part of. In that moment of turmoil and unexpected revelations, Larissa felt as if she were navigating through an emotional storm, desperately trying to find a beacon of understanding amidst the confusion. She struggled to maintain composure, seeking some clarity in the situation crumbling around her. With hesitant steps, she approached Gustavo, the stranger who had burst into her wedding day with the force of a whirlwind, irreversibly altering the course of her life. "Who are you?" Larissa asked, her trembling voice louder, trying to contain the tears that threatened to overflow. Gustavo, sensing the pain and confusion in Larissa's eyes, responded with a calmness that contrasted with the attention of the moment. "My name is Gustavo, and I am Amanda's father," he said, his words carrying a weight that Larissa still could not fully grasp. And then, with the question burning in her mind and heart, Larissa dared to ask, "And Icaro, who is he?" Then, Gustavo sighed, a gesture that seemed to carry years of history and complexity with it. "Icaro was my best friend for a long time," he began, casting a glance towards the door through which Icaro had disappeared. "We led together a small village in a distant city. We were part of a council that, along with the mayor, made crucial decisions for our people." He paused, gathering his thoughts before continuing. "A few years ago, we were faced with an important decision. A large company wanted to build an industry in our city. The council was divided. Icaro saw it as an opportunity to bring jobs and progress to a city that, according to him, had been forgotten even by God." Larissa listened attentively, trying to absorb every detail of this story that revealed layers of Icaro she had never known. "I," Gustavo continued, "was against it. I had my suspicions about a large company's interest in such a remote and desolate location. But Icaro was persuasive in his efforts. The majority on the council agreed to the installation of the industry." "So what happened then?" Larissa asked, her curiosity mixed with a sense of apprehension as silence filled the space of the still-stunned hall. Gustavo resumed the narrative of his story, bringing to light the dark events that had preceded his abrupt arrival. Larissa, still trying to process the avalanche of information and emotions, found herself captivated by every word, trying to understand the chain of events that had shattered the image of the man she loved.